So many of you know Rose Laboucan. Many of us still refer to her as Chief Rose. She's a former chief of the Drift Kyle Cree Nation and has been involved in education throughout her life and has studied education in education. So I'd like to give her the opportunity to introduce herself a little bit more and to share with you what it is that she's going to be talking about today in regards to post-secondary education.
I was waiting for the Grand Chief to say something nice about me, but he can't seem to find any words. No, just kidding. Earlier, we had honored somebody at lunchtime, right? A young man who has the talent to be awarded the Rhodes Scholarship, which is one of the most and highest prestigious award scholarship that somebody could win internationally. And when you look at that opportunity, it gives me hope that we are on the right path of bringing education to the forefront and being adamant that we do want to make a difference. People say our children are our future, but as adults, do we really mean what we say? Do we really question what they learn or how they learn best? We know that children learn from what they see. So if they see the turbulence in a home, if they see that nothing positive is coming out of that home, that is what they learn. We have to be honest. Why not build a foundation that's strong and very sincere? Let's teach through our customary values for those who still know what that means. Why not teach our children about caring? Why not build into our communities a healthy perspective for a brighter future? Let us teach our children to relate to Mother Earth. Why not teach our children about kindness, about honesty, respect? Let's show our children respect. Sometimes people think, parents and teachers alike, think that a child should be respectful. But if that child has not known any respect, how are they going to be respectful? We have to give them respect. Why not utilize the old ways with the new? Why not teach our children how to feel? If they're hurt, if they're angry, if they're sad, why aren't we listening to them? Why not let our children be proud of who they are? Why not support who they can become? That is what our communities should be doing for our children, if we care. Give the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you. That was a quote by Madeline Bridges. And I really believe, give the best, give the world the best you have. And I think that's what Billy Ray did. He gave the best of what he had. He didn't come from a perfect life. He didn't have rich parents. But he still succeeded. And there are many other examples like him. Yes, maybe they didn't win a Rhodes Scholarship, but they're completing their degree this year. I speak of this because post-secondary hasn't been a very big issue, or promotion, or recruitment or advocation happening in post-secondary. And I believe that our children can be running the University of Alberta someday, because we definitely have the intelligence, but we have to love and care for our children so they can be and get there. Right now I'm trying to get a collection of data from the First Nations, if they will allow me. I don't know why post-secondary is such a threat. It shouldn't be. Of the present and the future students. By future students, I mean students you might have on the wait list that didn't get funded. That's all I want. And I'll be able to formulate a plan of advocation for more funding. You know that the federal government lifted the 2% cap on post-secondary. What does that mean? My friend, Dr. Carolyn Bennett, who's a Facebook friend of mine, who now is the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, doesn't know what that means neither. So we gotta figure out a process and help them how they can determine how that's going to influence our communities in the area of post-secondary. I think it's very important that we give that opportunity. Many times I've heard in meetings like this that just because you have a degree, it doesn't mean you know everything. Someone said that up here earlier, and that's the truth. But you do know that it changes your life. And that it did for me. I was able to try and feel that with a degree, people would listen. I remember the late Ralph Klein when I was a chief and at the table. And he says to me, well, I hear there's some educated chiefs out there now. What the hell was that? What did he mean? I mean, there's lots of educated people out there. He didn't have to say that. He could have found a better way to say something to me. But that's what he said. I thank the day that I rediscovered the gifts of civilization from an elder. It gave courage to my voice as an educator. I sometimes wonder if I would have felt the same way if I didn't have an opportunity to overcome that feeling of shame, that feeling of not being good enough, and never being good enough for anything. You can have all the confidence in the world, but if you don't feel that energy, that you're as good as anybody else, there's always that doubt that keeps you down. That is what I don't want for our children. That is what I want. I want our children to walk proudly and know who they are, no matter what they pursue. Whether it's being a chief, which to me is an excellent role. They have no better role than to be a chief and make a difference for their communities. If we respect that role for what it's supposed to be, we should be helping them make a difference. There are many types of learners in Indian country. We've not accommodated that. Most of the schools that I've seen and been to across Alberta, the child is at a desk, he has to sit there, and he's got to listen. If he moves around and distracts, then he's a problem child. Not so. No way. Our children are really, really brilliant. And we've not even tapped into a quarter inch of that knowledge and the knowledge they could have and retain. Growing up and even at the university, I felt what racism really is about. You know, people think that because you have confidence that you didn't go through the same thing you might have, or someone else. At the University of Alberta, when I was there, I was called an apple. But I know that I'm Indian. Because I don't speak my language doesn't make me less than. And I should take the time, because it's really about taking the time. There's no blaming anybody, there's no making excuses, because if I want to speak the Cree language, I have to learn it. And I know I could. So we can't continue to put blame on someone else that we don't know the language, because it's up to us to learn it if we want to have it. Who you are constitutes your life. I don't know if any of you met or know of Dr. Wayne Dyer, who was a person who spoke on life itself and the values. He's now since passed on. But I really believe in a lot of things that he said really made sense. I never believed in myself. Were my choices only within the realm of the reservation? Every day I made a choice. Where did that choice take me? It took me only to where I wanted to go. One of the things that reflect good leadership in a community is to make a decision, to make a choice, and live by that choice. And be strong about that choice, because you're trying to make a difference for your community. Irregardless if somebody gets angry with you or is, mad at you for that decision, it doesn't matter. But you took the responsibility to make a choice. We've never, ever had an education system. Never. We always copied what was handed to us through the non-Aboriginal society. We took what they gave us. Here, learn 1 and 1. Learn to spell. I think for a lot of older ones of us in here, we have to learn how to spell spot, I think. Or is it Dick and Jane? You know what I mean? We took what they gave us, but we never even ran with that. Because if we did, everyone in this room, except for the young ones, would have a degree or some other trades right now if we would have ran with it. Because it's been funded, but we've not taken that opportunity. I see that our children in the community have no native language or culture. I'm speaking of my community too, by the way. I see the self-destruction of our people through the misuse of alcohol, drugs, and reliance on systems such as social services. I see the destruction of our communities because of envy, uncaring attitudes, irresponsibility about life. I see the downfall of the lack of interest in education in our communities. Control over what is manifested can make it a reality that there is such a thing as Indian control of Indian education. But until we step up to the plate, it's not happening. I acknowledge my own community for the first time with all its downfalls. But I also acknowledge an opportunity for an education system. Today, I can look at my community and see the land for the first time. The anger, hate, disparity, and shame will not blind me anymore. The beautiful land allowed my ancestors to survive as a people and as a nation. The land offers us an altar of natural herbs, medicines, rich soil to plant food, and natural beauty of the landscape. I can honestly sit by my window on a Sunday morning and enjoy the morning sunrise or the evening sunset. It took a lot of soul searching to really look at the problems in my own community and really examine them. And at some point in time in our communities, we have to decolonize ourselves. We can't force people to go the cultural way because they don't want to. But what can we do in order to make a real difference and acceptance of opportunities? And if you have somebody that's strong, stable, and able, has good spirituality, a good humanitarian place that they're at, and really understand where they're coming from, then we can move forward in a big way. I can practice living in harmony and peace without falsehood. I can live by the gifts of civilization that were given to us in a bundle. My journey into my self-actualization is a blessing in disguise. I believe tomorrow will open new doors for all of us. Pain is passed down from one generation to the other. If not questioned, if we don't talk about this pain, we're never going to break the cycle. I leave these words of wisdom that I have come to live by. It will not be an easy journey. All I know is that it's possible. The choice is up to us. I believe we can break that cycle of pain so we can go back to your storytelling, so we can go back and learn from the land. So our children will understand what the language can bring to us as a people, as a nation, and most of all, as contributing citizens of our society. We have to start blaming. We have to stop blaming, because blaming only causes resentments. We have to stop making excuses, because excuses continue to create a false pride. We can't continue to take an easy way out, because it doesn't open any new doors. And we have to come to a greater understanding of our past, our present, and our future. Solely by understanding the process of internalized colonization. Enough is enough. If our children want to go to post-secondary, we should do everything in our power and leadership for them to go to post-secondary institutions. If they want to go and get a trade, at Nate's sake, we should do everything to empower them to be able to go there. Always, always, our children will come back home. Because home is where the heart is. All of us go back, no matter what. And post-secondary, to me, is a very critical point in being a real contributor to society as a whole. And I think that without it, where are we going? like goes on the board by Dale, status quo? Do we leave things the way they are? Or do we hand it over to what we were fighting against all this time? To non-Aboriginal people to teach our children. Because I'll tell you right now, in our communities, in the band-operated schools, no matter what anybody has written or come to the conclusion of, we are successful in those schools. It's when our children go away and go off to school somewhere else that we lose them. Not all of them. Some make it through. Not all, but some do. So I ask the leadership today, when the time comes for me to visit your community, that I hope to work with your post-secondary workers so I can get some of those numbers and I can collect the data to make a report. I also want to help my friend, Dr. Carolyn Bennett, make the difference that she really wants to make. Not as a minister, but as a human being. And I think you know where I'm coming from when I say that. She has a heart, it's real, it's there, and she does want to make a difference. So I'm hoping, and also to look at the work that's going to come tomorrow with the breakout groups that you participate, because your opinion matters. Communication is a big problem in Indian country, but that communication problem is also within you and me. Because we might not like each other, so we don't tell each other what's going on. It has nothing to do with accessing that information. Because if you want to know, you'll find a way to get the information. That's how it works in Indian country. I thank all of you for staying as long as you did. I'm not going to take all of your time. I told my sister I'm not taking all the time that I could take, just because I want to let you guys go home earlier, then you'll like me. No, just kidding. But sometimes when you think about the work that needs to be done, we have to sit and really do the work. And tomorrow's an opportunity, tomorrow afternoon, when we go out into the breakout groups, to really help us get that information that's needed, because your opinion counts. And I thank you for listening. Okay.
Thank you, Chief Rose. I guess it's the respect that we bestow on a person that really worked hard as she did throughout her years as a chief, as a grand chief, to really try to make a difference in all the communities, not her community alone. And there's people that really take the time to really try to make a difference in the communities that we need to also acknowledge. This past summer, we had our Treaty Day celebration. We were able to bring a gentleman home back to our community for a reunion with part of the residential school. The man that supervised the senior boys in the 60s came back for the first time after 50-some years. And the reunion that he had with some of the individuals that recognized him and were able to reunite with him was a very emotional one. And you know, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because to be able to connect two individuals, haven't seen each other for many years, and to this last week, one of the individuals has passed on in my community. And Randy Lamont was a supervisor at the residential school, the Holy Angels Residential School. The boys there really had a lot of good things to say to him and say thank you for taking care of us. I'm not sure if Renee's here, he was here earlier, but it's people like Renee that makes a difference, and to be able to reunite people after many years is part of the healing that we go through as communities. It's important that we get involved in these discussions for the purpose of better education for our children. And I truly believe that everything starts at home. What do you teach your children at home is what they bring out into the school, into the playgrounds, into the community. There's so much lateral violence in our communities. The most powerful weapon that we have, that every one of us have, if we use it in a positive way, just imagine how far we can go as people. Our mouth. And today, we use that to try to destroy one another through social media. The sad part is when parents and grandparents get involved, and it happens all over our First Nations communities. You know, I've been in residential school for 10 years. I went through all the abuse that you can think of. Things like sexual abuse, you think might have been one of the worst ones. But the most one that stood out in my mind that really I blame my parents for was for abandonment. For throwing me away. I blame them for that. Little did I know that wasn't the case. I was able to get past that, be able to forgive myself in order to be able to forgive somebody else. And that's where everything starts, is with us. Nobody is perfect. We have to start somewhere. We have to teach our children about respecting one another. Our educators, our teachers in classrooms are not responsible to raise your child or to raise our children. They're there to teach. We have our responsibilities to raise our children. And our elders have been waiting patiently for many years. A couple years ago, I remember the words of late Musquat. He was very well outspoken, and he said to me, he said, "Why are we being used? Why aren't the elders part of the chief's meetings? Why aren't we there at the table? We don't want to be tokens anymore." And this is where the best opportunity that we have with the elders' involvement at these meetings, to have their input. What role do they play? They play a very important role. The young people that are here, I acknowledge you, I thank you for being here and taking the time. And the ones that have come through a live stream to listen to the presenters, I also encourage you to come back tomorrow. I encourage the schools to tune in and listen to the presenters tomorrow and all the discussions going on, recommendations. The educators, I want to thank you all for being here, for your input. I think we have a team that we can put together, that we can make a difference for the future of our children. We have to quit asking the government. We have to tell them. We ask, they'll tell us according to what their policy states. We know what our rights are. So we have to go forward and be able to put our documentation, our funding formula is going to look like based on our needs as First Nations people in our communities. I want to thank Dale for and his team for the hard work and commitment that he put forward. You know, this conference is a long time coming. We said that is a while back, but now's the time, and we have to move forward from here. We need to move forward, working together collectively. Each community, each First Nation community, the 24 First Nations under Treaty 8 of Alberta, the grassroots people, give a mandate to your chiefs and councils to be able to work together, move this item forward, education, what does it look like for the future of our children, and always keeping in mind the ones that are still coming. So with that, I just want to thank you for taking time to listen. I just want to hand it over to my co-chair for closing remarks.